more importantly at this stage, we've got Simon Danchuk, who's a former Labour MP for Rochdale. Somebody wrote an article in the Daily Telegraph naming two Labour MPs now deceased who warned him that he must not mention the ethnicity, race or religion of the perpetrators of the Rochdale grooming gangs. I mean, Simon, look, the reality is you've been smashing your head against a brick wall about this for years, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. I was the bit of context. I was the MP for Rochdale, 2010 to 2017. The Rochdale grooming scandal blew up in 2012. It was the first I'd heard of it.
In Rochdale,
in Rochdale, yeah, absolutely. And then from there on in, I campaigned intensely for 3 years, in every aspect, raising questions, raising issues on the floor of the House and everything else. What surprised me, first and foremost, is that Jim Dobbin MP, Labour MP, very senior MP in terms of his longevity.
Knighted by the Pope?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, big Catholic. He was in the neighbouring constituency, and what he said to me, and I think he was trying to give me some sort of fatherly advice, he'd been an MP for a long time, I'd only been there 2 years, and he said, listen, Simon, just, you know, we were at some event, he said, don't mention the ethnicity, it could cost us votes. You know, just.
Let's crack on, because it's been a PR disaster for Labour this week. Nigel Farage has reignited that debate over whether there should be a national inquiry into the rape gangs. The Reform leader accusing the Health Secretary of attempting to conceal the reality of the gangs after he...
Oh, well, I mean, I wouldn't like to put a percentage on it.
But some of them are literally saying, I don't care, and others are saying, I'm too frightened to complain.
Yes, no, that's right. Well, if you take Jim Dobbin, the MP for Haywood and Middleton, he just wanted a quiet life. That's why he was saying it. He wanted to coast along, be an MP, get all the trappings that come with that, the foreign trips and everything else. It's a fair description of it.
Yes.
Not very good at doing the case work. You've met MPs who are like, it's a cross-party issue.
I met Jim.
The political scene erupted as Keir Starmer faced an unexpected public takedown during a live TV interview. A quitting MP didn't hold back, delivering a scathing critique that left the Labour leader scrambling for answers. In this video, we'll be discussing what triggered this brutal confrontation and what it means for Starmer's leadership. Let's dive into the fiery exchange that's sending shockwaves through UK politics.
I think a GB News poll the other day said about 77% of people wanted, including now Labour MPs, including Dan Carden, as you say, and obviously Andy Burnham.
What do you make of Dan Carden? I mean,
hey, quick favour before we move on. If you find this political content interesting, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel. Most of you watch without subscribing, and it's free, but it helps us out so much. Have you done it yet? Thanks a ton for the support. Now, let's get back to the video.
Now that's all as Labour MP Dan Carden has broken ranks from Sir Keir Starmer, joining Andy Burnham in his calls for a national inquiry.
The nation was shaken by revelations that sent ripples through the UK political space. For Labour MP Simon Danchuk dropped bombshell allegations, claiming senior Labour leaders had pressured him to remain silent about grooming gangs during his time in office. The situation intensified when billionaire Elon Musk weighed in, leveraging his vast platform to call for accountability. Musk's direct tweets accused Keir Starmer of involvement in what he referred to as the rape of Britain, drawing attention to Starmer's leadership of the Crown Prosecution Service, CPS. The controversy ignited a political storm like no other.
You've been smashing your head against a brick wall about this for years, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. I was the bit of context. I was the MP for Rochdale, 2010 to 2017. The Rochdale grooming scandal blew up in 2012. It was the first I'd heard of it.
In Rochdale,
in Rochdale, yeah, absolutely. And then from there on in, I campaigned intensely for 3 years, in every aspect, raising questions, raising issues on the floor of the House and everything else. What surprised me, first and foremost, is that Jim Dobbin MP, Labour MP, very senior MP in terms of his longevity.
Knighted by the Pope?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, big Catholic.
Simon Danchuk's allegations revealed a troubling environment of enforced silence within the Labour Party. He specifically named senior figures Tony Lloyd and Jim Dobbin, accusing them of urging him to withhold information about grooming gangs. These claims have drawn significant attention to the party's leadership, raising pressing questions about their priorities and their commitment to addressing such serious issues during that period.
Some sort of fatherly advice. I'd been an MP for a long time. I'd only been there 2 years. And he said, listen, Simon, just, we were at some event. He said, don't mention the ethnicity. It could cost us votes. Just play it straight, so to speak. If that wasn't shocking enough, when the story breaks, Tony Lloyd, who's the chair of the Parliamentary Labour Party, so a very senior figure, was going to be the police commissioner for Greater Manchester. He was standing to be the police commissioner in an elected position. And he came up to me in Parliament and said, listen, Simon, I don't believe ethnicity is a factor in this. I don't think we should mention it. It could cost us votes. There's no doubt about it.
Between 2008 and 2013, Keir Starmer held the role of Director of Public Prosecutions, responsible for overseeing criminal prosecutions across England and Wales. During this time, the country faced a devastating crisis involving grooming gangs. Despite growing evidence and widespread public concern, numerous cases were either neglected or poorly managed. Starmer's leadership has since come under fire, with critics arguing that his tenure fell short in delivering justice for victims and allowed the situation to escalate unchecked.
Him saying that, he also said he didn't think ethnicity was an issue in a parliamentary speech he made in 2012, and started going on about Jimmy Savile for some bizarre reason, as though what these grooming gangs did is comparable to that. I mean, it's two different instances. But yeah, so two examples of where I were warned off mentioning the ethnicity and religion.
And was their argument, which we hear from the political left a lot, there is a rape culture in Britain, all men are potential offenders, and it's got nothing to do with any background whatsoever?
Yeah, that would be the argument that they had, and that we should be celebrating multiculturalism. I didn't buy into that at all. I called it out, so I'm quite comfortable with my record on these issues. What I also found interesting, over those 3 years I met with the Home Secretary, Theresa May. She would phone me up at home to discuss these types of issues. I went to a summit with David Cameron, the Prime Minister, on child abuse and how we could just come up with some solutions. And during all that time, the Shadow Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, never spoke to me once about it.
Keir Starmer has struggled to confront these allegations directly. His attempts to dismiss critics as far-right agitators have largely fallen flat, failing to gain widespread support. The lack of a national inquiry into grooming gangs during his tenure has only fueled public scepticism, raising doubts about his intentions and dedication to ensuring accountability.
Now to the grooming gang scandal that simply will not go away, and Kemi Badenoch has demanded that the government launches an immediate inquiry into child exploitation in Britain, despite not doing that while the Tories were in power for 14 years. And this comes as Sir Keir Starmer is attacked over his handling of the Oldham grooming gang scandal when he was all...
In an unexpected twist, Elon Musk, known for his outspoken and often polarising remarks, turned his attention to British politics. He publicly accused Keir Starmer of overseeing systemic failures during his tenure and called for his resignation. Musk's pointed criticism struck a chord with victims and whistleblowers who have long felt ignored. His bold stance earned widespread praise, with many commending him for shedding light on an issue that politicians have largely avoided, viewing his intervention as a crucial demand for accountability amidst persistent injustice.
Possible. There's a reason why cultural differences exist. You can't take someone who has got an entirely different cultural upbringing and say to them that, look, well, this is a haven for multiculturalism in this country, so therefore you do whatever you want to. Oh, that doesn't fall in line with our culture. You can't do that. Well, the two don't marry up. It's not going to work, is it?
It doesn't really work, multiculturalism. You have to, if you come here, you have to be British and accept our values.
What I would say, what I think multiculturalism comes is people mistake multiculturalism for multi-faith. Multi-faith is very different, right? If someone wants to follow a different faith, knock yourself out, enjoy it, go for it. We live in a country where you are allowed to practice whatever faith.
Elon Musk, widely recognised for his groundbreaking achievements in technology and space exploration, has now waded into UK politics with scathing criticism of Keir Starmer. His social media remarks have intensified discussions around Starmer's involvement in handling the child grooming scandal. Musk's calls for a national inquiry and his provocative suggestion to dissolve Parliament have sparked widespread debate. While some view his actions as a necessary push for justice, others see them as an overreach by an international figure. Regardless of the divided opinions, Musk's involvement has brought global focus to the issue. amplifying pressure on Starmer and his leadership.
With a focus on the decades-long rape gang scandal. Across the country, thousands of girls were tortured and sexually abused at the hands of men who treated them as things to be used and disposed of, destroying many lives forever. The Prime Minister has mentioned previous inquiries. He is right, there has been an inquiry into child sexual abuse, but it wasn't about the rape.
Musk's intervention has drawn global attention to Britain's political crisis. His outspoken remarks have sparked heated discussions about the role of prominent figures in demanding accountability from governments.
Has dynamited British politics more than once, in that he's able to engage in front of millions of people and to force a response from government ministers. And intervening in the case of the grooming and rape gangs scandal is only the latest. And in effect, elected politicians in Britain, and also the bureaucracy, are now accountable to one of the world's richest people.
Amidst the growing controversy, survivors of grooming gangs are finally stepping forward to share their experiences. Notable whistleblower Sammy Woodhouse commended Elon Musk for bringing attention to their struggles, recognizing his efforts in amplifying voices that have long been ignored. Many victims voiced their frustration over years of governmental neglect and expressed gratitude to Musk, viewing him as an unlikely but influential advocate in their relentless pursuit of justice.
And the question is whether this is for the good now, and whether it might be for the good or bad in future with a different person in that position.
Do you think that the Labour Party and Keir Starmer are concerned or should be concerned about Elon Musk's influence in British politics?
I think they're very concerned. I think they're more concerned about this than the previous Conservative governments were, because the Labour Party is a control freak organisation.
The scandal has reverberated across the political spectrum, prompting strong reactions from all sides. Conservative MPs, notably Robert Jenrick, have joined the mounting demands for accountability. Jenrick criticised Keir Starmer for disregarding valid concerns, asserting that his dismissive stance has only deepened the erosion of public trust in his leadership.
Severely under-prosecuted and severely underrepresented in our overall national crime statistics, and the Crown Prosecution Service simply does not bring these cases to court enough. So for people to be saying that, oh yes, well, things have gotten better, sentencing has gotten better. If sentencing was better, then a convicted Pakistani Muslim rape gang member wouldn't be allowed to see his child and be released early.
Under mounting pressure, Starmer's responses have done little to quell the controversy. His reluctance to confront the allegations directly has been widely perceived as a display of either vulnerability or potential complicity.
She wants to learn about what had gone on in Rochdale, the grooming scandal.
Plausible deniability.
Yeah, absolutely. She didn't want to hear what I would have to say and mention ethnicity. Yeah. And religion and ethnicity clearly did play a part in it. There's no doubt about that.
And how did it play a part? Because I know my own view that you've got an enclosed Pakistani community that's relatively insular because they haven't integrated into the United Kingdom. The dress code, I think they go mad about some of the words that I use, but SLUT, that word was popular amongst these people, saying, well, if you dress like this, you're fair game.
Public frustration in Britain has reached a tipping point. Protests have broken out nationwide, while online campaigns demanding Keir Starmer's resignation continue to gain momentum. His approval ratings have taken a sharp dive, with growing doubts about his leadership capabilities. At the core of this crisis, however, is the pressing need for justice for survivors. Critics contend that repeated governmental failures have only deepened the suffering of victims, intensifying demands for a thorough and transparent inquiry. As these calls grow louder, the nation finds itself at a pivotal moment.
Right, yeah, I don't know that.
Well, no, but...
I know in Germany, I had a girlfriend there and she said she had, there's problems with the Turkish, and now obviously they've got other problems. They had loads of groping, didn't they, from recently?
Yeah, but
that was a different thing.
So this is a particular ethnic group being racist towards white girls, you know what I mean?
Well, not just white girls, apparently Sikh girls and Hindu girls, but their communities actually have educated their girls to look at the signs. We're not even educating young girls to look for the signs if some old bloke
they
says...
are being groomed.
Yeah,
unfortunately, this is a classic example of how multiculturalism has and always will.
Keir Starmer's leadership is facing growing criticism from both the public and political circles. Allegations surrounding his tenure as head of the Crown Prosecution Service, CPS, have drawn widespread backlash, with many pointing to major failings in addressing the child grooming scandal, one of the most harrowing crises in British history. The media plays a crucial role in bringing the truth to light. Investigative journalists and whistleblowers have been key in uncovering these deeply troubling issues. However, questions remain about why these stories were buried for so long and who benefited from keeping them hidden.
Mr. Speaker, I'm shocked that the Prime Minister would say that actions were not taken. He knows full well that we accepted 18 of the 20 recommendations in the J inquiry and went further, launching a gangs task force that found 550 more perpetrators. That shows that there is still work to be done.
Public anger is escalating as accusations mount that Starmer's administration prioritised its political image over the protection of vulnerable children. Social media has become a driving force in amplifying these concerns, with countless calls for accountability and transparency gaining momentum. This wave of dissent highlights a growing mistrust in Starmer's leadership and his ability to effectively tackle the nation's critical challenges.
Unfortunately, when it comes to cultural issues, there are going to be divisions, and frankly, in this instance, quite rightly so.
The problem is, Simon, this is the elephant in the room. There is effectively a feeling that the Labour Party, rightly or wrongly, is afraid to offend the Muslim community. Therefore, they think the white girls are a price worth paying.
Former Labour MP Simon Danczuk's revelations have intensified the controversy surrounding Keir Starmer. Danczuk alleges that senior Labour leaders, including Starmer, were involved in a political cover-up aimed at suppressing discussions about those implicated in grooming gangs. He claims high-ranking officials pressured him to stay silent during his tenure, exposing a troubling pattern of prioritising political interests over ethical responsibility. These accusations highlight systemic failures within the Labour Party and cast serious doubts on its commitment to justice. The alleged cover-up not only undermines public trust, but also prolongs the suffering of victims and their families who continue to demand accountantability.
I was in the Labour Party for decades.
Yes.
And I'm...
Oh, sorry. I'm just going to interrupt you there, just to say, so you are not just a former Labour MP, you're a former member of the North West Labour Executive Committee, former Labour councillor, so they might not like you for some of the things that you've said, but you have a bomb-proof background in the Labour Party.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly, and that's probably why I'm not a Labour Member of Parliament now. I mean, this isn't a coincidence.
No.
And when I say
but
this...
also, you're quite a decent sort of chap, so...
Well, that's another reason why they perhaps don't want me in there. But there's no doubt about it that they were concerned about losing votes over this issue. They saw multiculturalism a price worth paying for the abuse of these girls. Some Labour politicians, I would say.
Amidst the unfolding political turmoil, the voices of victims and whistleblowers are finally being heard. Survivors of the grooming scandal, including whistleblower Sammy Woodhouse, have publicly thanked figures like Elon Musk for reigniting attention to their cause. For years, these victims have felt neglected by the justice system and overlooked by political leaders. The renewed spotlight on their experiences has given them a powerful platform to demand accountability. Their stories highlight the profound human cost of political inaction and place immense pressure on leaders like Starmer to address the enduring consequences of their failures. The scandal surrounding Keir Starmer represents a defining moment in British politics, compelling the nation to grapple with pressing issues of leadership, accountability and justice. As the pressure mounts, one thing remains clear: the truth will eventually come to light. The way ahead is uncertain. Starmer's leadership remains under intense pressure as calls for a national inquiry grow louder and show no signs of abating. The British public continues to demand accountability and transparency, while the victims, above all, deserve the justice they have been long denied. If you enjoyed this breakdown, leave a like and subscribe to our channel. Watch more videos here for the latest insights.